Okay, and we should now be live for the third session and the Cosmonauts game, a sort of strange space opera setting based loosely on ancient Greek mythology. We have a group of heroes. The main characters of this story are all descended from one of the ancient Greek gods who long ago cast down the Titans, these huge monstrosities built of forbidden technology. Last session, our PCs temporarily freed Phineas, the prophet, from the torment of the Harpies that had been sent to bedevil him by the god Zeus as a punishment of him misusing the power of prophecy that Zeus had gifted to him. And in gratitude for this, he gave them the route to Colchis, the legendary home of the Fleece, an artifact of divine providence which is reputed to be able to heal all sicknesses and wounds. The Fleece is being sought by Jason, the sponsor of this voyage, who has gathered all these mighty heroes together because he believes that it will help him reclaim his birthright and rulership of his kingdom. So, before we journey to the Clashing Rocks, I'm going to ask each of the players to introduce themselves and say just a little bit about their character and what they're up to at the present. So, first of all, let's start with our Scion of Hephaestus.
Hello, this is Matthew, and indeed I am a scion of Acastus, by the name of Tydus. A man who knows how to understand, but not overwork, the creations of the gods. He's come on this mission to make sure that the divine is respected, and that Titans and Titan-like ilk things do not get in the way, as well as redeeming himself for something he did some time in the past, which hangs heavy on his scion soul at the moment, from what he was told by the oracle in the previous session.
Okay, thank you very much. So we will now move on to our hero of the regime.
Right, so I'm Johannes, and I'm playing Theron, the hero of the Republic. He's an Athenian warrior philosopher carrying the fabled tachyon bow of Athena. He is known far and wide across the the colonies, the planets that we voyage to and from, and he is on this journey with his ever-present cybernetic snake owl companion Orbos, and he's helping Jason out of a patriotic sense of duty towards the planet that they share as their home.
Okay, and last but by no means least, we go over to our ever angsty navigator.
Dennis, I play Aeleon, the ferryman or navigator of the Trelos Kosmos. She is a scion of Aeetes, and she has been brought aboard to navigate the ship through the river Styx. So far, she has been keeping to herself, not really getting involved in all the drunken on board. Thanks to our captain, the ship is quite lively, but not something she enjoys. After the last encounter, she has been concerned or occupied, maybe a little obsessed with the good hero Theron, and his little talk up with the guy. What was the guy that was dead, or not dead, but cursed?
Do you mean Phineas the prophet?
Yes, the prophet. After his last talk with him, she is concerned that Theon might be afraid of dying. So she has been lurking around him, not saying anything, just standing there in her hooded robe, as discreet as she thinks she is, but every now and then he had looked up. He has seen her there.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Dennis, you might want to check your audio. It was quite crackly while you were reading
Sorry.
that out. It's all right, no problems. Okay, so we join our heroes. They are all aboard the Trelos Kosmos, a great ship of the Republic, a splendid ship crewed by this great conglomeration of heroes that has been gathered together by their captain Aeson. Now, unfortunately, in their hijinks to incapacitate the Harpies and to remove them as a threat so that Phineas would help them, they unfortunately had to scale a rather large cliff to get to the eyrie of these Harpies. During their descent from this cliff, Aeson sustained a number of injuries, as our scion of Hephaestus, Tydus. Now, whilst Tydus has made a swift recovery, no doubt helped by the divine blood that flows through his veins, unfortunately the Captain Aeson has been a little slower to recover, perhaps hampered by the amounts of medicinal wine that he's been glugging back at a vast rate of knots. So, as we join the Trelos Kosmos, it has just exited from the domain of Hades, this dark underworld realm which star vessels used to travel between the vast void habitable worlds. So as you're all stood on the deck with the first mate Orion, who is acting as the captain of the ship whilst Aeson is incapacitated / drunk, you hear this tearing sound and you see the empty grey dullness of Hades' domain part to reveal the black sea of stars beyond you. And a few miles ahead of where the Trelos Kosmos is floating, as you move through into real space, you can see there is looks like this globe of vastly quick spinning asteroids, floating rocks, circling rapidly, almost in a frenzied activity in this huge globe that must encompass many, many hundreds of miles of space. So, for our first roll of the game, I'm going to ask Tydus, can you please make me an intellect roll?
I certainly can, and I certainly will.
Splendid.
Just bear with me a second. An intellect roll. Okay. I know things, John. I know things. Pretty good. Can you see my result? It's a 4 if you can.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. So I stood on the prow of the deck. There's Jason there. There's Aeleon is just sort of like coming up from the battle in the navigator's room. You've got Orion stood there with a serious look on his face as ever. You, as you're looking out, you can see these rocks spinning rapidly. Something strikes you as a little bit odd. You know from your dealings that nature is inherently random and chaotic. Now, obviously, that's something that's a bit of an anathema to you because obviously you're a scion of Hephaestus, likes everything to be ordered, logical, all parts to work according to their function.
Like clockwork, yes.
Exactly. But as you're looking at these huge spinning rocks, there's something about the way they're moving, almost like you can't quite put your finger on it, but there's almost like a pattern to it. Like it's not just like a random sort of conglomeration of space junk, effectively.
Can I, by pointing this out to our noble navigator, possibly come up with a plan to navigate through them, circumvent them?
Discuss it with your navigator.
I don't know if you can see this, no pun intended, Aeon, but this debris out here, it doesn't appear to be random looking at it from this deck. My old eyes could be deceiving me, but it appears there is a pattern or some kind of manner to it. I believe there is a way to get through it, but I, of course, am not a captain or a navigator.
Kind of shocks. See, probably couldn't see it.
Yeah, it's not something you noticed yourself, Aeleon, but as it's pointed out to you by Tydus, and you look at it, you can indeed see that there is some sort of pattern to the way they're moving. It's just like randomly moving. You'd expect all of the asteroids to be sort of moving in a certain manner if they were just sort of like being held by gravity. You'd expect a few rocks to be moving sort of out of sequence with that, but they all appear to be moving that you can't quite divine.
Am I convinced that they are rocks and not like some like a ship that's a debris or something like that?
At this distance, they certainly look entirely like asteroids.
Okay.
Obviously, you are moving closer, but at the minute you're only going at a fairly slow speed. So obviously, when you exit the realm of Aeetes, you're not going to exit too fast in case you run into something. So you're moving fairly slowly at the moment. You are picking up speed as you're sort of heading towards it, for directions that Phineas gave you. But you know that since your Captain Aeson was taken ill, in inverted commas, occasionally you hear a bit of like drunken singing, sort of like burbling up from his cabin. You know that Ryan's been sort of like deferring quite heavily to the three of you. More so perhaps to the hero of the Republic, Theron, obviously being a noted hero with reputation. Orion is a good first mate, but he's got no experience of actually full command of a vessel, so he's actually been quite like receptive to like suggestions from the three of you.
Are we in real space?
You are now in real space, yeah.
And how is the sound as I changed it?
The
Is it
sound,
better?
you sound fine.
Okay. Well, we're out of the river, so this is really out of my hands now.
I sense this may be the work of the gods. A trial, perhaps.
Well, if there's a pattern to it, maybe we could navigate using that.
Okay.
Do you have any experience in steering a ship?
Not of this magnitude, no. More a man of construction than of direction.
So I would be. I would be sketching out the patterns of these floating objects. And John, my intent here is to map them out, their trajectories, to see if there is indeed a window, as our Scion of Hephaestus says.
Can I assist by using my divine stunt?
What does your divine stunt do?
My divine stunt, twice per session I can use my cybernetic eye to gain a sense of an object or creature's function, purpose and motivation, grants bonus to crit advantage. +3. Can do it twice per session.
If you wish to use one of your uses to that, you can give your +3 to.
Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll point out sort of like, out of all the debris, these are the ones you've got to watch for. These are the ones that seem to be following a pattern. These ones appear to be red herrings and that kind of thing.
Okay, so to anyone who's looking at you, Tydus, how does this stunt like manifest itself? Obviously, you're looking with your like cybernetically enhanced eye. If someone were looking at you as you're doing this, you're making this study, what would they see?
So they see me sort of like, I kind of like do something in the back of my head. It looks like I'm sort of either depressing something or twisting something, and then my actual cybernetic eye, it comes out like a lens, but then at the side of it pops up like a radar dish kind of thing. It just like kind of wiggles about a bit, and you can see that this like it starts projecting like kind of a kaleidoscope of different lights as it kind of like scans around into the darkness.
Okay, so you guys obviously see this occurring now. Obviously, you're too involved with trying to map out the asteroids, which you can make an intellect roll for Theron. But as that's definitely, you've got a +3. Yeah. As that's occurring, Aeleon, as you're looking around, you notice as this sort of like this radar dish like pops out the side of Tydus' head, and like his cybernetic eye like.
It looks very uncomfortable when I'm doing it as well. That's why you probably haven't seen me do it before. A little bit of blood like pools at the bottom of his eye, like as it's doing its thing.
Yeah, Aeleon, you noticed that like a number of like the other sort of like crew was still sort of sat at their places, so like nudging each other and like whispering and pointing in the direction of Tydus. You notice a few of them make sort of like warding gestures, or almost like someone in contemporary like might cross themselves, like warding gestures for the gods. And obviously, knowing that like most sort of like high tech is deemed to be like of the Titans, it's not difficult to notice that like people are sort of like whispering suspiciously and sort of like nudging each other and pointing towards Tydus.
Well, since she's out of her meditation state, and she's in real space, she'll go up to the. And see, this is why I should have your pirate's document up. What is the front end of a ship called? The bow. She'll go up to the bow and look at the golden crab and kind of shake her head and flip back her hood and take off her eye blindfolder, and she'll look out in the space and see if she can see any ghosts out there.
Okay, you don't really notice
ships that had crashed, maybe.
You don't really notice any ghosts out there as such. Now, Theron, have you made your roll?
Sorry, you're cutting out, at least for me.
Yeah, you're breaking up.
Have you made your roll, Theron?
Yeah, I was waiting on that because I have a stunt for that as well. I'm a student of ontology, so I get +2 intellect rolls when trying to create an advantage, and the cybernetic eye was +3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Damn,
so
you're smart.
This is. Yep.
That'll do it. That'll be an advantage with like 2 free invokes. What would you like to call it?
We are in like empty space.
Indeed, you're in empty space, and like I say, in front of you is just this massive sphere of these wildly and erratically spinning asteroids.
Okay. Let's call it.
Sorry,
or cartography, again. I guess.
Cartography, okay.
Asteroid cartography, yeah.
Okay, no problem. So you've created the advantage of asteroid cartography with 2 free invokes. That's absolutely fine. So as you're looking at it, you can start to map out this pattern. And you know, it's almost as though like the asteroids, as you're getting a little bit closer to it, the asteroids start spinning a little faster until some of them are really sort of blurring past your vision. You're probably no more than like a sort of mile away from it now because the Trelos Kosmos has been picking up speed. However, as you're getting a little bit closer, you notice, Theron, that what appear to be these large sort of semi-transparent, almost like squid-like creatures, each of them about the size of the Trelos Kosmos. You didn't really notice them before because, like I said, they're semi-transparent, and they appear to be sort of like almost lazily like floating just beyond the border of this asteroid field on your side of the asteroids.
Mm-hmm. Am I familiar with these creatures? Are they common?
Make me an intellect roll, and anyone else who wishes to do so can do as well.
It's a 4.
Okay. Let's see what the people get. Okay, so everyone is aware that these things are creatures that are known by some as the children of Poseidon. Now, Aeleon and Theron, you will also know that these creatures, these large sort of like luminous when they're active, like squid creatures that move through space, they're generally sort of pretty harmless, although on occasions they do mistake ships for like another creature such as themselves, and they will swarm and attack them if they feel that they're under threat. Generally, they spend most of their time just sort of like lying dormant and like soaking up ambient cosmic rays to sort of like power themselves. So in their sort of inactive state, they're very dull, they're semi-transparent, they're almost unnoticeable. But when they become active, they sort of light up with this internal glow.
Okay.
Do we know if they are attracted to light? I mean,
you know, they seem to be like drawn to energy and light, as you've said. You think that it's the case that a lot of these ships that have been attacked by them have almost bumped into them without perceiving them, and then when they've seen like a similar sized, as far as they're concerned, creature with this sort of energy field around it approaching them, they mistake it for like basically a rival, one of their own kind, and they swarm to attack it.
Right. I would be.
At the moment, they don't appear to be aware of you, though.
Yeah. I would be motioning for Orion and pointing them out. Like, we need to steer clear of these creatures. They are harmless, but they will be upon us if we provoke them. So let us steer clear. And here is a map. And I hold out my sketch to Orion. Please navigate the Trelos Kosmos with the aid of this map.
He looks at you and nods and says, "You'd be better handing it to the navigator, sir. I rely entirely on the navigator for bearings and such like while steering the ship."
Okay. So I take it to Aeleon. And yeah, well, our exit was planned, correct? We were supposed to come out here. I say to Aeleon.
yes. She puts her blindfold back on. Yes.
Where is here?
Right, you know, Aeolian, that you are on the border of a sort of swirling belt of asteroids known as the Clashing Rocks. It's rumoured that the legendary world of Kolkis lies at the centre of this sphere of asteroids.
We're at the crashing rocks. Where we need to go is in the center of them.
Well, on that note, here is the map that I have created.
Oh.
And it should show you the trajectories of all these objects. Barring unforeseen forces, they should move according to my calculations. And yes, I would invite you to guide us towards this planet Kolkis, or this place. And to avoid as well our dormant friends, the squids.
The children, yes.
Yes.
She takes
Very
the
good
map.
then. And I sort of clap my hands. Onwards to Kolkis, my friends. Glory awaits, and so does the fleas.
There's a ragged from the crew.
Okay, Aeolian will try to study the map and as best he can.
I mean, it looks fairly accurate, but obviously with the rocks moving all the time, I mean, it's never going to be 100% perfect, but it looks as though he's done a fairly good job, Theron, with like the small amount of time you've had available.
Okay. Well, since she has already checked to her captain and found him incapacitated, she will have to rely on Orion. So she will attempt to navigate a course through the asteroids. And
Okay.
when she has done that, she will go over to him and let him know. So should I make a roll?
Yeah, that will be a focus roll. You will need at least a +4 on the roll. However, you will get a +1 because Orion is assisting you.
And you can invoke the map where the cartography.
Okay, I
Yeah, you've got
Yeah,
two.
I'll need to
two
do
free
that
invokes.
then. I'll just reroll. Oh, did you say it?
Well, you can just add a +2.
Yeah.
You can just add a +2 and you'll be fine.
I'm just going to do that.
Okay, that's fine. So you managed to a few like smaller rocks do strike the hull of the Trelos Kosmos as you head in. However, you managed to definitely, thanks to the map that Theron has drawn for you, you managed to negotiate your way around most of the larger ones. You're about a third of the way into the asteroid field when Theron and Tydus, obviously up on the sort of prow of the boat, you notice sort of peering through this swirling cloud of rocks in front of you what appears to be another vessel, maybe a little bit smaller than yours, another sort of odd configuration that you've not seen before, but it's quite clearly a vessel sort of making its way out from inside this sphere of rocks. What do you guys do?
I don't know how long my divine stunt lasts, John, but if it's still like a few minutes, am I able to scan it and see what it is?
You would have to use another use of your stunt to do that.
Oh, yeah, that's fair enough. Okay.
Obviously, you've got a second one, so you could use it.
I'm going to belay that for now, just see what its intentions are.
Okay.
Plus his hair to do something.
Okay, the thing that surprises you guys is as this boat starts emerging from inside, presumably from Colchis or somewhere inside the asteroid belt, the clashing rocks, you notice that it's almost as though the rocks actually like detect this ship, and several of the larger rocks literally break formation and start rushing towards this ship. A few moments later, you hear like a as these rocks smash into the sides of this vessel with like the force of comets. You see ships start to take heavy damage. You can just about hear over the sound of the crashing rocks these cries of the people on board. You can see splintered fragments spinning off into space. You see one get snapped like it was so much kindling and spiral off away from the deck. The whole ship looks as though it's in danger of like breaking up imminently.
Is there anything we can do to assist them? Orion, Aeleon, what? We can't just leave those people to die.
Orion says it'd take us out of our way. We'd have to go closer to render assistance, and obviously we'd be putting our own vessel at risk. But he turns around and he looks at the three of you. Like I said, he's been taking a lot of his lead from the three of you. In
This
particular,
is my ship,
yourself,
but it's
Theron.
the right thing to do. We can't just leave souls to die out here.
Well, of course we can leave them to die out here. That's the purpose of it all. But yes, Orion, take us closer to them.
Very well then. Lead us in, Navigator.
LA.
If you'd like to make me a roll, this roll can't go towards the 3 successes you need to get through the asteroid field, because you're effectively going like out of your way to help someone else out rather than just sort of ploughing straight through it.
It's the right thing to do, damn it.
Yeah. Once again, the dice are really annoying.
You've still got one free invoke of that map, so you could go for a re-roll if you wanted.
Is that cool, Johannes?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what
That's what it's there for.
I mean, should I make a reroll or just add 2? Would that be enough?
Well, if you add 2, you won't make it because you need 4
Okay, I need 4. Okay.
to move through the asteroid field.
Oh my god.
Have you got an aspect you can invoke with a fate point?
Yeah, I'm just
Assuming you want to, of course, you could just take the damage and be like...
really annoyed with these dice. Yeah, I have Haitian Ferryman of the Styx. I don't know if I can use that.
Well, yeah, of course you can. You're guiding a boat.
Yeah, I'll
That's fine.
dump a fate point and try again. Yes, 5. Woo.
Okay, I mean, obviously you've succeeded, so it doesn't matter. But just to tell you, you could have just added a +2 by invoking, and you'd have done it.
Okay,
for
yeah,
made
okay.
4, so, but you've done it anyway, so it's neither here nor there. So okay, so thanks to some act by Aeon, you're able to turn at a 45-degree angle, and you guide your ship through this asteroid field, which appears to be getting like faster and more manic as it surrounds the wreckage of this ship, almost as though the asteroids are sort of aquatic predators closing in for the kill. As you're getting closer again, you're like as asteroids impact with this stricken vessel. You can now see it's breaking up entirely, and bits of it are starting to drift away. As you get a bit nearer, you see a sort of large chunk of this vessel lazily sort of spinning out in your direction, and you can just about make out a single figure covered in like a long white flowing Roman hood, like obviously perhaps knocked out, perhaps dead, you're not sure, clinging to this huge chunk of ship wreckage as it sort of spins lazily towards you. You're pretty much within range of this chunk of wreckage at the moment. The rest of the ship is sort of like breaking up into smaller pieces. Asteroids are impacting with it.
Okay.
Can I use one of my mighty and extremely rare fate points, John, to assist in the recovery of these poor souls?
You certainly can do. How do you intend to recover this poor soul?
So I've got a stunt. I can spend a fate point to create a limited automaton for a scene. So essentially what I want to do is, while on deck, I want to repurpose one of the weapons briefly as a kind of like a tractor beam to sort of bring them in safely without causing undue stress to the ship, and protect as many poor souls of the gods as possible.
That's absolutely fine. So spend your fate point and dump it back in the pool.
Boom, it's done.
Okay, so I presume that's a stunt that works automatically. You have to spend a fate point for it.
Yeah.
So just describe how it works. You're fiddling around with this this on board the ship. Describe
Well,
what
I'll
happens
ask
when you
Aeon,
track
like,
them in.
what are the ship's weapons look like? Are they like cannons? Are they like, I don't know, arrays? How do they look on the ship? Because obviously I'm not native to the ship.
Well, I will assume we have some sort of grappling hooks too, so you can use those.
Yeah, normally the weapons, you don't really have sort of like ship weapons in terms of like cannons. Normally, like you say, you'd have grappling hooks, and then it would sort of become like a sort of boarding action if you were combating another ship. Since obviously any sort of like high technology tends to be viewed with extreme
Of course,
suspicion.
as is right. Of course, right.
There might be a couple of sort of like almost like sort of bolt thrower style like ballistas mounted on board. That'd be the absolute most.
Right. So what I do is I go over to like there's a couple of anchors. You've got like a first and second anchor. I using my tool belt. Obviously, I've got lots of random bits and bobs I've described previously. And basically, I get like a selection of magnets and sort of fuse them up to the anchor, and I get a bunch of the crew to help me sort of like position it like a projectile and fling it to the ship to try and magnetize it and bring it over.
Okay, when you're sort of getting the crew to help you, notice the crew seem like strangely reticent to help you, and there's a lot of them who are sort of like, they appear to be almost wary of getting too close to you.
Gawk at me later, men. We have lives to save. Come on.
They grumble a bit, but eventually they do, seeing this like chunk of masonry with this person on it.
I may not be the hero of the Republic.
They do pitch in and help.
But I'm a hero of the people. Let's get these to work.
As he says, I'm a hero of the Republic, you notice a lot of the crew look at you, Theron. Almost as though they're looking for like approval. You're like, do we like help this guy with all these like weird? Like,
It's just magnets, man.
I give my nod.
That seems to sort of like set them back on track, and they pitch in and help you out. Although they don't really understand the alterations you're like telling them to make to the weaponry. Yeah. They do what you tell them to.
While I'm doing this, I sort of absent-mindedly clear off the blood that's sort of a kind of dry blood that's got on my cheek as of from using my thing earlier. Because I'm now busy myself with the work, and I'm like, okay, fasten it there, throw it there. You bring that over there. Get ready to throw it on there. At these two angles, we need to bring it over nice and safe, so it won't damage the ship.
Okay, no problem. So as this tractor beam sets out, what does it look like?
So it's essentially two anchors magnetized that when they both connect, I run a kind of electrical current through them to try and create this like bubble. Space science.
Okay, no problems. So that is what happens, is this sort of like electromagnetic force flashes out towards this stricken and begins hauling it back towards yourselves. This chunk of the damaged ship now is sort of like to your own vessel. Obviously, with you being like the nearest to it, Tydus, as you look over, you can now see that you're much closer. That this person being stricken on the deck was really unconscious. They seem to have like wound their arm around one of the frayed ropes hanging from this chunk of wreckage. You can see a woman wearing white robes. She's got a small sort of cut across her forehead, perhaps from fallen masonry, and she appears to be unconscious, but literally she is the most beautiful woman you've like ever seen, bar none. Surely she must be sent by the gods. She's so beautiful.
Just checking, Joe. I don't recognise this person, right?
You don't 100% recognise her, but there is something in like the curve of delicateness of her features that does remind you very much of a certain person from your past. It's clearly not that person, but obviously you made Pandora to be like an ideal of the female figure, and this person, whilst not matching up to that ideal, comes pretty close, to be honest. It is a little disconcerting for you, and you shake your head a bit, and you're like, no, it's not her, obviously not.
Do we have like a chief medical officer? That sounds so starky. Do we have someone who like an equivalent on the board?
The medicine of this era is a little bit sort of doctor as such. You know, Orion and Jason both know a little bit about sort of training, but it's only really like basic sort of like field medicine.
If I can get to her without too much trouble, I'll hoist her over my shoulder, at least I can, and I'll bring her over to Theron, as a man I know of his education may be able to see if she needs some kind of medical help, as I'm more a man of machines. And
okay, now obviously you are still in an area like full of like spinning rocks. While you're on the Trelos Kosmos, you're protected by the ship. You will have to sort of like step onto this like bit of wreckage, which is held securely. It's not going to float away. Don't. Are
you trying to say I'm in danger?
What I'm trying to say is that if you step onto this like bit of wreckage, you're obviously not going to be protected from the rocks, so you would have to make a roll to do it, and there would be the potential for you taking some damage if you got struck by one of these rocks.
Is she the only one who appears to be on the other vessel?
It certainly appears that way. If there were any other people, they've no doubt perished in.
I'll get my hammer out, and just in personal protection, I'll step aboard.
Okay, so can you please make me, since you're sort of like girding yourself for like this potential impact, can you please make me a force roll?
I absolutely can, John. Okay. Thankfully, force is something that I did great last session, so let's hope for the best. I have no difficulty as John, but I'm currently at 2.
Okay, the difficulty was 4, so at the minute you will be stress.
Okay, so I'm going to invoke my high concept, penitent cyborg engineer, that I believe that in saving souls that have not been corrupted by the Titans and foul technologies thereof, that I'm earning my redemption in the eyes of my lord.
You are earning your redemption. However, earning your redemption doesn't stop you taking damage from a giant rock hitting you.
Okay, maybe I'll use the hammer then as a possible. I just buff it out of the way.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Spend your fate point.
Okay, less angsty, but more fun. There you go. Done. Fair points are spent like water today.
Okay, so I presume you're just going to add a +2 to that?
Yes.
Okay, so describe as this, you see this huge rock coming towards you. You've got the woman over your shoulder, you've got your hammer in the other hand, you turn around about ready to head back to the ship, and you see this like rock that's about the size of like a football sort of zooming towards you. Like, I speak literally, it's about to like hit you square in the chest. You grab your hammer, what do you do?
So what I do is with my other hand, I get out one of my wrenches, grab it to the sort of magnetized thing, and then start sliding down. As the thing catches up to me, I sort of arc it under my armpit and time it, ready for it, thinking that I'm not watching, and then spin around and catch it, the momentum, sending it skating off into the distance.
Nice. Your hammer strikes this rock with a resounding clang that is audible to everyone who is in the area. And then you, almost like you've sort of hit a golf ball, you see this rock spinning away from you, and you quickly hop aboard the
I
Trelos
think to
Kosmos
myself
with this
for a
woman
brief
over your shoulder.
second, I really hope disrupting that pattern is not going to come and bite me in the ass in a second. But I'm just too late. It's done. Let's get out of here.
Okay, so you jump on the ship, you take the woman across to Theron, as you said. So Theron, you see Tydus batter this rock out of the way. He's got this woman in white on his shoulder, leaps back onto the Trelos Kosmos and like lays this woman like down at your feet, basically.
And what is this? I say to...
Well, actually, didn't say who was speaking to for a second. A survivor, I hope. Could you give her a check over? I'm more of a man of machinery and maintenance. The
body is a machine as well, of a different
True,
kind.
It works differently to what I know of. Could you? Do you have any medical knowledge?
Of course I do.
Of course you do.
John, I'm going to give the survivor a once-over.
Okay, yeah, you don't have to make a roll for that. You can see that she's sustained a blow to the forehead, obviously from a smaller piece of this spinning space debris. She appears unconscious, but her breathing's steady. You think sort of she'll recover on her own given enough time. She's in no immediate danger. As I've described to your friend Tydus, looking at this woman, she is like the most beautiful woman you've ever seen.
Second beautiful for me, obviously, but for reminiscent.
Given that I'm prone to... Well, I've spent most of my life, really, and most of my career as a philosopher, a warrior philosopher of Athena, contemplating the nature of existence. I would like to try and figure out if this woman may be a demigod, like we are. My suspicion is she is descended from Aphrodite, or maybe Hera.
You hear Tydus in the background going, is there anything on this ship that isn't wine? We need some for this poor soul.
Okay, can you make me an intellect roll, please? Johannes, the difficulty is only 2.
And that's a 3.
Okay, so Theron, as you're looking at this woman and you're trying to assess whether she's like a divine scion like yourself, you're checking her over as well to see what state she's in. As you're sort of like tastefully sort of moving her robe away from her neck so you can look at her, make sure she's all right, pulse, etc. You notice that she's wearing a torque around her neck on a bit of leather thonging. You can see it depicts the 3 stages of the moon on it.
Okay.
While they're checking out our guest, are we still tied to the wreckage?
You are at the moment, yeah. No one's detached it. You notice the crew don't really seem to go near this strange sort of conglomeration that
Tydus, disconnect
Tydus
us before it pulls us away.
That I will. I'll go over and dismantle my... as long as I'm sure we've got everyone we can. She was the only survivor as far as we could see.
Okay. Orion, you have the course. Set sails for that.
Understood, Navigator. You heard him. Set sail for the centre. We head for Colchis. If you'd like to make your next navigation roll, please, Aeleon.
6.
Okay, yeah, no problem. You've made you're about 2/3 of the way through this asteroid field now. It's getting a lot denser. The asteroids are moving a lot faster. You notice they seem to be like more specifically moving towards the vessel, almost so something's guiding them towards your vessel. As you're disconnecting the bit of sort of ship debris that you've attached to your vessel, Tydus, you get a strange sensation. It's difficult to describe, but you almost feel as though something is awakening nearby. Something that strikes a particular chord with you as a scion of Hephaestus. You can almost hear the sound of ancient gears and mechanisms slowly whirring to life, and you hear this low sort of tone that no one else appears to be aware of.
We want to pick up the pace, gentlemen and navigators, and I feel that we may have stirred something into waking. I hope Titan. I really hope it's not a Titan.
Okay.
Don't just stare at me, man. Faster.
Aeleon will stare angry at him for mentioning the Titan's name on board of a ship.
Yeah, you notice as soon as he's like, rah, 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 Titans, the rest of the crew, I knew it. And so, like, giving him the stink eye, basically. You notice, Aeleon, obviously, people, because they tend to be made uncomfortable by your nature as a scion of Hades, they tend to just, like, ignore you as much as possible, and sort of, like, you fade into the background, which has served you quite well on a number of occasions. But since you're, like, not being noticed, the crew don't seem to, like, bother hiding their discontent from you. So you notice a few of them actually sort of, like, glance down at their weaponry, which they, like, keep nearby, and then sort of, like, look over, trying not to be too obvious, but you've noticed it, sort of, like, looking over towards Tydus.
She curses her captain. This is his area of expertise. The gods be damned then with their wine. She will go over to Tydus.
You have need of me, navigator? What seems to be the problem?
Yes, she will drag him down below deck. Or attempt to. I mean, she will grab his armor and pull him down below.
Okay. So Tydus, Aeleon's like grabbed your clothing effect and he's trying to like drag you down below.
I come without
How do you
resistance,
respond?
but somewhat confused.
So as soon as they're down below, she won't take him into her void temple because she doesn't want that tainted. So she'll push him into the captain's quarters where the captain is like laying on his cot. Stay here. Try not to mess about with anything, and don't mention Titans and whatever it is in your eye. Don't ever use that in front of the crew again. Okay? As he closes the door.
As he tries to respond, the door just shut behind him. But it was a gift from the gods. I shouldn't shun it.
Okay, so we cut back to on board the deck. Theron, what are you up to at the moment?
I will have taken our guests to, I think, a mast probably, and put a loose rope around her. And so is there something in the air? Like, does everyone feel like something's about to happen?
You didn't at first, but now there's a strange feeling of almost like sort of static, like before a large thunderstorm in the air. You notice as you look at your arm that like the hairs on your arm are sort of standing up.
Okay. Are the squids close by? Are they active?
You notice as you sort of look out, you do see that this dull glow is starting to emanate from the children of Poseidon. But as you're looking at them and they slowly start to become more active, they actually seem to be like moving further away from the asteroid field, like away from yourselves.
Okay. Is there anything I can deduce from looking around? Like, is there anything that I can look at to figure out what's going on?
Okay,
if not, I'm just spinning around. looking dumb.
Okay, as you're sort of looking around, can you make me a focus roll, please?
Yeah.
Difficulty's only 2.
We're gonna re-roll that. Well, +2, so I can just add the +2. So we'll invoke Orbos, my snake oil companion, who is going to be is probably like on top of one of the masts, keeping a lookout as well. So I'm being helped by Orbos. I probably yell to Orbos like, Orbos, I need your eyes. The eyes fashioned by the hand of Athena herself. Please.
Okay, so you gesture to Orb. It starts as though it's going to like fly away from the vessel, perhaps do like a bit of a reconnaissance flight, and it literally gets about 5 foot away from you. Then it drops to the deck with a loud clang, as though like its ability to fly had just been like yoinked away from it. It hits the deck and lands with an owl-like face towards you. And you see its like beak, its metallic beak, like hanging open, and a deep voice that you've never heard before emanates from inside Orbos, and the voice just says, "None may pass the crashing rocks."
I'm dashing to retrieve Orbos from the deck.
Yeah, not a problem. You easily pick him up. He doesn't really weigh much.
Yeah. I'm just shaking the thing. Just Orbos.
It appears entirely undamaged by whatever incident. There's maybe some slight scuffing on it from where it hit the deck, but it's entirely undamaged. But it's almost as though like it's in a sort of hibernation mode, like I say, with its beak just hanging open.
I set it down next to the guest that I roped to the mast. Just I pull my tachyon bow out, and I go to the bow of the ship, and I just sort of start yelling my challenge out, because I'm not sure where this thing that's obviously opposing us, I'm not sure where it is. So I'm gonna go to the bow. We have the golden scarab thing, I guess, in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm probably like hanging off of that or standing on top of that, and just yelling out into the void, just like, my name is Theron of Athena. I challenge you, whoever you are. We require passage.
Okay, so as you say that, again, this deep voice emanates from Orbos, your cybernetic owl, and also below deck, you also hear this voice, Tydus, but it's not emanating. You're not hearing it from Orbos. You're hearing it as though it's like just emanating from everywhere in the room around you, and the voice just says, "I am Trelos, guardian of the clashing rocks. None may pass."
Do you guys want to do a thing?
I've been told to stay in the captain's quarters.
Will you?
It's a good question. Check.
However, since you've now heard the name of this thing, you can make an intellect roll.
Ah.
Was that directed at me, John? Or
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
It was, yep.
Okay, I didn't quite catch that. Yeah, I absolutely 100% know he is.
Okay, you know Trelos was reputed to have been this huge guardian designed and built by the hand of Hephaestus himself, who was set by the gods to guard an immensely valuable treasure.
So he's like my brother? Or a cousin?
Well, let's just put it this way: if we're going to use like a Transformers analogy, if we're going to say that you were like a sort of like VW Beetle, it's like the giant planet-sized like Transformer.
Oh.
He's Pandora's brother.
Oh dear. Do I have any insight of how we would get around this distant cousin of mine?
Well, since you got such a high roll, I will remind you that previously when you spoke to Phineas, he advised you to look for a symbol of its weakness, and he drew you like a circle, and he said that was the symbol of its sort of the Guardian's weakness.
Armor.
He described a heavily armored Guardian, and he said that if you found that sign on its armor, you would find the spot where it was weakest.
Circle. Right. Okay. So,
Okay, since Aeolian will say to Orion, battle stations, and someone get our passenger downstairs.
Okay, Orion runs up to where Theron, you've like roped the passenger, so he's going to start untying her. Then he pauses and he sort of looks over at you, Theron.
Oh, yeah, it takes me a while because I'm trying to figure out the nature of the challenge that I'm about to propose to this Talos. And I glance back and I'm just like, yeah, well, you do whatever.
He nods and so like, you hear like a slight sigh of relief, and he unties this still unconscious woman and starts like carrying her below deck. You return to sort of like looking over the prow of the vessel, Theron, and as you do, you can just about make out it's not lit, so against the blackness of space, it's very difficult to see. But you can just about make out what appears to be a large moon, some distance in front of you. It seems odd because you'd expect a moon in the midst of all these asteroids to be getting like battered by all manner of space debris, but it seems to be like almost like some of the rocks like deliberately like detour and go round it as you're watching.
It's a trap.
Okay, and they're evacuating everyone down below decks.
No, just our passenger. So
Well,
let's
no,
let them know. Hopefully
Yeah,
we can-
Orion shouted for everyone to get to combat stations, and he's taking the woman below deck. The rest of the crew are picking up their weapons and their bows, etc. None of them really seem to have spotted this like large moon that you're approaching.
I'm gonna point towards it with my hand and yell back, Orion, steer towards that.
He's just emerging back onto the deck, having taken the new passenger below deck, and you see him look at you, and he says, "Towards it."
I have no time to explain.
Okay. At this point, can you please make me a flair roll?
Oh no. No. Apparently I can.
That's absolutely fine. Obviously, you can almost see the thoughts like whirring around in his head as he's like, "Oh, steer towards that thing. It's huge. You must be mad." But then he's like, "No, you're a hero of the Republic. This legendary reputation. You obviously know what you're doing." And he just like snaps the nearest man. He's like, "You heard me. Full on the rudder towards that thing." And you see you see him like gulp as he's as you see one of his legs like trembling a little bit as he's
not sure.
He's sure of his abilities as a hero, but still like driving towards like something that like is the size of like a large moon. Not terribly keen, if I'm perfectly honest. You see he's trying to like, obviously he's not like a godling like yourself, but he's trying to like steel himself against it as best he can. You can see one hand sort of like gripping onto the edge of the ship, and you see his knuckles are white as he's like gripping it tightly.
Yeah.
John, does the rest of us know who Talos is?
You can make me an intellect roll if you wish. Your roll will be more difficult, a +4 roll, because obviously you're not directly connected to Acastus, like your friend.
Oh. Didn't make it.
You may have heard some vague legends about us being some sort of guardian of the gods, but beyond that, you don't really know a lot. It's like a guardian, so they're not really alive or dead, so they're not really in your purview.
If she knew he was related to Acastus, she would get our droid out again.
I tell you what you do notice with 2, though. You notice that as most of the crew are sort of getting to battle stations and they're sort of trying to like gird themselves forward, and they're like, oh shit, we're going towards like a giant boom, but you know, we've got our weapons, we've got a hero leading us. It's all good. It's still good. It's still good. You notice a party of about 6 of the crew they've got their weapons in hand, but rather than sort of like moving to the prow like most of them, you see them sort of make their way towards the hatch in the deck that leads down below deck, and they start like disappearing down the
She
ladder.
dies and curses her captain again and goes after them.
Okay, you head after them towards the cabin that your Aeon of Acastus Tydus is in. As you become aware of this, Tydus, is when you're in this cabin. It's like, oh, what's going on with this strange sort of deep voice? Oh yeah, Talos, I remember that. You hear this like of someone like pounding on the door.
Aeon, thank God. It's Talos out there.
The door like flies open, and you see like 6 of the crew stood there. They look angry, scared, but most of all, like I say, furious. One of them holds out his sword towards you, and he's like, it's your cursed Titan technology that's brought this disaster on us all. We should make a sacrifice to the gods now, and hopefully they'll show mercy.
What do you speak of, men? Cursed Titan technology.
He points his sword at your cybernetic eye and your more obvious enhancements, and he's like, you've brought this devilry down on us all with your forbidden technology. You hear one of the people at the back go, we should sacrifice him to the gods, maybe Zeus will be merciful. And I was like, yeah. Obviously you're in the corridor just like behind them, Aeon. You can hear this like going on.
Well, she's
they bike themselves up and get the courage to like rush towards him because he does look weird.
She's tempted to join the mob, but
whoa!
I love the fact that Aeon at the back, like, yeah, get him!
Get him! She approaches the men. Men! Get back on deck.
Okay, can you please make me a roll to try and persuade them? I'm open to which sort of approach you're using, depending on how you're doing it.
Okay, she'll try to intimidate them. What would that be?
Okay, that's probably a force roll.
Okay.
And that'll be an opposed roll, so if you want to make yours and I'll make theirs. Okay. Okay, they don't seem entirely convinced if you're sticking with that roll.
Yeah, you know what? I don't like this dice roll.
So are you sticking with that?
Not...
Okay, so from the back of the behind this mob, Tydus, you hear Aeon say, "Men, get back on deck." One of them turns around and just like literally like shoves you, not hard enough to do you any damage, but just to like knock you off your feet. Aeon, so it shoves you back and goes, "This is none of your business, Navigator. We've got to make sacrifice to the gods. Get him, man!" And they all like rush in towards you with these swords.
Okay, she falls down in shock that they touched her.
Indeed, you know that they must be absolutely like shitting themselves, and that they must have such great anger in them, because normally they'd rather sort of like throw themselves over the side of the ship than like touch a ferryman, but they're obviously far. As far as they're concerned, they've got to sacrifice this guy, or their like souls are going to be like damned for all eternity. So, in the grand scheme of things, like pushing you over to get to him ain't really no thing. So they all rush in towards you and they start attacking you with these swords, Tydus. So this is effectively a combat. I'm going to make a roll for them.
I'm muted.
I'm not a Judas, goddammit. Oh, Jonah, sorry, Jonah.
If you would like to make a defense roll, please.
Do I choose which way I defend, don't I? So yeah, so I'm going to use. If you want to deflect their, like, say they're not an organized fighting force. They're kind of a rabble coming at me, right? So can I use intellect to sort of like not necessarily hurt them, but kind of position myself so they actually end up tripping themselves over? You know, like in the kind of films where like I catch their wrist and sort of twist it so the other guy hits the blade and that kind of thing. I'm just confused.
Not a problem.
That's what I'm going to do. Oh, maybe I'm not going to do. Oh, I'm coming.
No, that's absolutely fine. However, because they are a frightened mob, I'm going to spend a fate point of theirs and a +2 to it. So that will take them up to +2. So obviously they're beating you by 1 at the moment.
God damn it, John. I don't want to kill these fools, but at the same time, I ain't got time to bleed. So I'm going to invoke. I'm going to invoke. You cannot improve upon the divine. You cannot improve on the divine. And I'm defending myself. This is. I've got nothing to be ashamed of here. I'm not trying to kill them. Is that acceptable?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes.
Absolutely fine.
My last
So
fate point goes.
Fate
Great.
point.
Just in time for Pandora showing up.
Okay, not a problem. So as they in as this disorganized mob swinging their swords, etc., you're literally like stepping back out of their reach and like putting bits of furniture between them and you, so the swords are like coming on desks and stuff rather than hitting you. This just seems to like infuriate them even more, and they're sort of pressing on, trying to press you into a corner of the cabin so you can't get away. However, before they get to do anything else, I'm going to pass the action over to yourself.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and talk them round. I don't want to hurt these people. These are good citizens, and they are, they're doing what they believe is right, even though they are misguided. So I'm going to say to them, I understand, men, that you are scared. The Titans are terrifying, but I've faced them, and we have faced their creations together these past few weeks. We have adventured together. We have conquered fears. Do not let fear take hold of your heart in this moment and strike down one of your own. I am a follower of Acastus, and he is one of the gods. He is one of you. He looks after us all. This mechanical thing is a gift. It is not profane. It is the divine. Just like this ship. Just like the navigator. Just like the... What is it? Is it called the temple? The shrine?
The void
It's just
temple.
scary because you've never seen it before. But it has not harmed you in any way. It has enabled you to survive. We've saved a young woman today. The will of the gods is with us. Do not strike me down out of fear.
Okay, what sort of approach are you suggesting that you might be using to try
I'm trying to use
calm
logic. But I don't...
them? Okay, yeah, we'll go for intellect.
But I would take guile as well, or
So-
flair, depending on if that's more appropriate.
Okay, so make an intellect roll. It'll be opposed to their roll. Okay, you say this to them, and they do start backing away, and they sort of like lower their weapons a bit. And you notice a few like grumblings, like, "Oh, well, yeah, he is one of the heroes who was recruited by Jason. We should still make sacrifice, but sacrificing one of the gods' own might just make things worse." And they seem to have, like, the momentum's gone out of their sort of initial rage. You manage to like pour water on the fires of their anger, and after a few moments, they sort of glumly start sort of like holstering their weapons and sort of turning to head back on deck.
Be not ashamed of yourselves. To be afraid is to face the Titans. But to overcome it together, that is how we show courage.
You notice, Aeleon, as they're sort of like filing past you to go back up on deck, they're sort of a bit glum. And as he mentions, like Titans again, like a few of them like throw like sidelong glances back at him.
Yeah, they brought it up.
But they head back up onto deck.
Yeah, I only
Meanwhile,
will scour
back
at
up
them
on the
as they
deck.
go by.
I sort of like, if I catch
One of them
Aelion's
does
eye, I
stop
just
to
sort of
help
shrug
you.
as if like I didn't do anything. I didn't go anywhere.
One of the crew does stop to like help you up, Aeleon, and like apologises for the actions of their fellows and knocking you over, saying, "Oh, we didn't mean any disrespect, but we believe we had to get that Titan forbidden technology off this vessel. It's an ill omen. Please forgive us, ferryman." And they sort of like help you
Yes,
to
he
your feet.
grudgingly accepts his hand and gets up.
Okay. Meanwhile, back on the deck, Theron, you're sort of still stood on the prow where this huge sort of like golden deactivated Titan spawn crab is. You're like clinging to it. You see this this huge sort of like moon in front of you, this dark moon. Then gradually it's as though sort of like lines of light and energy start forming on it, illuminating the edge of this huge brass armored plating that appears to cover this sphere entirely. And you see what appears to be a stylized sort of outline of an eye on the front of it. Its outline illuminated by this golden energy. And this eye appears to be sort of like staring straight at you and the ship. You almost feel as though this eye is like peering into your very soul.
Well, I'm gonna continue yelling into the void. So I go, Talos, Guardian, there's no need for us to quarrel here. Please share your words with me.
I was set here by the gods in ages past to ensure that no one without their favour may pass the clashing rocks.
I hold up my tachyon bow. I come bearing the bow of the goddess herself. We are blessed. We carry with us my brothers and sisters of high parentage.
If the gods truly wished you to pass, then I would know of it. And as it says this, there's again this boo, and what appears to be a beam of golden light emanates from this eye, and it strikes a couple of the asteroids close to your ship, and as it does, they break apart from the inside, almost as if they exploded from the inside. You have to sort of like shield your eyes a bit as the sheer brightness of it, and the after image stays there for a few moments as you sort of like take your hand away and blink to clear your vision.
I'm muted. Do I hear this as well, John?
Yeah, everything that Talos says, you can hear it, but you're not hearing it from Talos. It's almost as though someone stood behind you, like literally just like saying it into your ear.
That's not creepy at all. So what I'll do at that point, I'll start heading towards up on the deck. Because I literally can't cause any more trouble at this point. So
sounds like that'd be a good aspect for you in the future, man. I literally cannot cause any more trouble. Okay. No problems. You head up onto the deck and you can see, as I've described, the scene unfolding.
I'll step up to the hero of the Republic, and
Aeolian will follow him.
With my cape blowing in the space wind.
Nice.
Theron, it's noble you wish to trade words with my distant cousin Tydus, but he's created for a purpose, and he will not deviate easily from it. I was told in my vision that his weakness is... Was it a circle, John? Or was it like
It was a circle.
Yeah. It was a circle, and we should probably focus on that. It's a test, another test. The gods are always testing us, and one we must overcome if we wish to find this fleece.
Do you mean the eye?
It could be the eye, but it is a moon, isn't it, as well?
Yep.
Is there anything I notice about the eye, like anything unusual, like...
Well, the eye doesn't appear to be etched in its surface. It's made of like these lines of golden energy moving over the outside of this brass sphere, effectively.
Perhaps if you shot his eye, you'd blind him and he's unable to harass us further, but that also could enrage him.
You would say this of your own cousin?
I do not wish him harm, but he's been placed here for a purpose. And he will not deviate. Even if it was family, he would do the same to me as he would to you. I take no pleasure in it.
I'm glad I was born of Athena, not Acastus.
Me too, you would not last long in the forge, my friend.
Oh, burn.
Damn! So how many stress boxes do I mark?
Just social stress.
But can you shut it down? I mean, if we get you there, can you shut it down?
What, actually go onto the moon?
Well, if you have to find the circle, it will probably be on the surface of the moon, right? So we have to get you there.
I mean, that's possible, Aeleon, but from what I can see, getting us that close makes us extremely exposed.
Talos has already proven that. Well, he can disintegrate matter with great ease. So I propose that we do not approach unduly. I would like to.
Sorry, go ahead.
No,
I was going to say he hasn't actually attacked us yet, though. He hasn't struck us.
No. Yeah, Talos destroyed some asteroids just now.
He probably will if he get closer.
I turn my attention back towards the moon, and I once again address the darkness of the void. Talos, we mean you no harm. We carry your cousin who wishes to approach you and embrace you as a family member. And therefore, as you have nobly stuck to your purpose, as we will nobly stick to ours, God-given as it is, I invite you to a duel of wits.
Okay, as you sort of indicate it's cousin and you give this stirring speech, you notice a few of the sort of men stood around you sort of renew their resolve, sort of spurred on by your words. The eye of Trelos glows this bright amber colour, but this time instead of a sort of beam of energy that destroys things lancing out, it's almost as though a spotlight plays across the deck of your ship until it falls on Tydus, and the voice booms out. This time, unlike previously when it was fairly sort of emotionless, you actually hear sort of anger in its voice as this time it booms out as the spotlight falls on Tydus, and this voice says, "You bring great evil on this world, heretic. It is through your creation that the darkness of the worlds flow. Do not speak to me as though we are family." And as it says this, almost like a sort of a 3D projection, an image of this beautiful but obviously mechanical woman holding what appears to be a sort of metal box in her hands, appears in a sort of translucent form, hovering just above the deck, and you recognise the projection as obviously being Pandora, Tydus. Then the projection flickers and disappears. The spotlight still remains on you, Tydus.
I take a deep breath and a sigh. You may be right, distant cousin, that I strayed from the path at one point through to love and affection for things that I should not have had. However, I'm on this journey with these heroes to make right of what I did.
Only those who've been given access by the gods themselves may pass the clashing rocks. I have been set here through these eons to ensure that those who have not been given access move no further. If your ship leaves the asteroids now, you will be unharmed. Unlike yourself, cousin, I have no wish to bring evil into this world. I simply seek to fulfill the purpose I was given by my creator.
I want to, if it's like you're the arbiter of this, but if I were to use my divine stance of irrefutable Athenian logic to
what a name,
to take him down a rabbit hole of moral relevancy because he dropped evil, and I want to grab that and hit him over the head with it until he acquires.
Okay.
I'm just standing stock still, feeling the eyes of the crew on my back.
Before he does that,
I would certainly be amenable to that.
like
Oh, yeah,
a
go ahead.
Skian of Hades and Athena and Hephaestus and all that. Have you ever communicated with the gods?
Of course,
No,
I was
I'm
created
asking you,
by
John,
the gods.
if we did.
Oh, you've probably never directly communicated
do
with
we-
the gods
do we-
yourselves, no.
I mean, do we need to get to an oracle to do that, or is that something you can do?
Yeah, normally you have to do it via some sort of intermediary.
Okay, thanks.
Theron probably thinks that he does it every day.
Okay, so how does your Athenian logic stunt work, Johannes?
So what happens is twice per session, I can leverage my rhetorical skills to convince a character to agree with me for the scene. So what I want to do is I want to give him an ass kicking in like moral philosophy, and then get him to agree with me that even if such a thing as evil existed, it would be his moral imperative to help me deal with that, because I'm the best example. I'm the paragon of moral virtue here, obviously. I'm helping his cousin clear out this so-called evil in the world, and the gods want us to be good, so he's stopping us from being good by not allowing us to progress on our quests.
You seem to be sort of like winning over the course of like it probably takes like a good sort of like half hour, this like massively long discussion.
Yeah.
But you seem to be getting Trelos to sort of like agree with you. However, you keep running into a wall. Like every time you like refer to Tydus as like his cousin, it almost like resets the conversation, because as soon as you like mention like, oh yeah, I'm trying to do this with your cousin to like do some good, he's like, oh, he's responsible for like all the evil in the world, so he can't be doing good, and you pretty much have to like start over again and like building it back up again.
Okay, so what do you guys do? Because I'm just it's stalemate.
My presence just seems to be only causing trouble at the moment.
Aeolian is considering turning the ship around. But she will step after Theon has had his debate. She will,
philosophical rap battle.
yeah.
As they're having this debate, Aeleon, and you're sort of considering what to do, a couple of the crew you saw below deck earlier sort of like have sidled up to you, Aeleon, and they're like, "Oh, see, even that thing agrees with us. We need to get that thing off the ship, and then maybe it'll let us pass." And they sort of like obviously like gesture in like Tydus' direction.
She turns to him. Everything we do in this life is simply a test for the next life.
Is that a yes or?
He's like
Yeah, you're like a couple of people are like true, but then they're like, I don't see how that has any bearing on our current situation. Is there some strange like ferryman speak I'm not getting? Or the ways of the ferryman are strange.
She'll turn her attention to Thalas, whatever, where Theon seems to be looking. She will turn that way. Thalas, you have been put here to guard the fleece, correct?
I am the guardian of the way to Kolkis.
And Kolkis has the fleece.
Kolkis is the resting place of the fleece.
Interestingly evasive answer there.
You notice, like, although it didn't really seem to be giving much information before, it almost seems like most of its like 99% of its processing power is like being used to like try and like engage in this battle of wits with Theron. So when you ask it like a simple question, instead of like evading you or anything, it's just like, yeah, raise your information. We could go back to this argument. So you think, oddly enough, Aeleon, like, whilst Theron's like engaging in this conversation, it's almost more easy for you to get information out of it because it's not willing to divert a lot of time towards deceiving you when it's engaging in this battle of wits with like Theron.
Do you recognize Theron as a scion of Athena?
Can I assist Theron in his philosophical debate with my knowledge of my god?
That's probably not a good
idea. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Talos' voice again says, I am capable of sensing the divine in 4 of you on board.
He's just trying to get me killed. This is what this is turning me into a Jonah.
Then you know we are here as scions of said gods. We are on a quest to retrieve the fleece. Since you are guarding Caucus? Is that the name?
Yeah.
Since you're guarding Caucus, and we just want the fleece, I don't want to go there. If you could bring us the fleece.
And what makes you think the fleece is yours to take?
Not to take. To use, to borrow, to bring back to Jason and his people, to heal them. For the planet sick.
If it were the god's will that be done, I would know of it.
Doesn't our appearance here makes it the god's will?
That seems to give it pause for thought, and it doesn't respond immediately. Although it's weird because as it sort of like speaks to you, there's like another voice that sounds the same that's still like having this battle of wills with like Theron. It's almost like you ask it a question, it stops momentarily and goes, yeah, of course, that's right, yeah. And then it like turns back to like talking to Theron. It's almost like you're watching like 2 adults like having an argument, and you're like a little kid who's like, oh, I want to do this, and they're like, oh yeah, of course, you go and do that. Oh, the adults are talking now, and like it goes back to like talking to Theron. But it doesn't give any response to your last inquiry.
Okay.
Okay, after sort of like about half an hour all told passes, you've managed to get it to agree, Theron, that it should let you all pass. The only sticking point appears to be that it does not want to let Tydus pass. Because as far as it's concerned, if you're sort of like asking it to let the person who's like responsible for like the greatest evils in the world to like go past, while it's been put here specifically to prevent like evil befalling Colchis and the Fleece. So it's like, oh yeah, you guys, yeah, you Scions, I can see what you're sort of saying, you know. Maybe you should go past, and you're like, oh, and about Tydus, and it's like, nope.
No. Okay.
However, because it's not like just sort of letting you pass, I'm going to say that you don't have to cross off one of the uses of your stunt.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I sort of
specifically straight let you pass.
That's how I heard it, because we ran into a wall immediately with him going like, nope. Tydus is a hard no. Like, never.
We have boats, life boats, right?
Yeah, you have some like small like rowing boat style like lifeboats, effectively.
Okay. Well, I guess we have to place you on one of those while we go get the fleece.
But you will need me. I was invited on this task because you will need my aid. What comes next, I'm sure, will require all of us.
But at the moment, we have a angry-looking moon blocking our way.
He's just stubborn. He's built that way.
As you're saying that, as Tydus begins to speak, like the moon actually like rotates a little, so it can like keep this spotlight on him as he's moving about on the deck. Theron, can you please make me a focus roll?
If you roll to play out in this portion of the quest is to sit in a lifeboat.
Okay, I will tell you this is an observation-based roll. The difficulty is 2.
Yeah, observation. Let's see. Well, yeah, well. As a philosopher, I would say it's part of my job description to observe and notice stuff.
I'd go with that.
The hero of the Republic never misses something.
until he does. So
Okay,
difficulty
so
2 was it?
As the
Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just what +2.
Okay, so as the moon like rotates a little bit, you're not sure, but you think you can spot sort of like on its surface. It was previously concealed around the other side of it. What appears to be a small like circular hatch,
Mm-hmm.
sort of like built into its brass surface
Mm-hmm.
on the sort of far side of it.
And it looks like a person could operate the hatch.
Yeah, it almost looks like it's a sort of like almost like a maintenance hatch, like a small sort of one-man like circular little hatch. Think like the sort of hatch on a submarine.
Yeah.
You know, they spin the little sort of
Aeolian, look at Tydus. Do you need some wine, some bread to keep you company in the boat?
Are you seriously suggesting you leave me out here?
Yes. But we will pick you up again.
You do know that thing that my cousin will likely kill me while you are gone.
I'm sure if he wanted to kill you, you would be dead now, but if he kills you, so is your fate. And you will go on to the next world.
There is no such thing as fate. Surely we know this by now. We are not savages anymore.
Well,
Using us on Dennis.
what he has done up to now will determine his entrance into the next world. If he has done good, he'll go to Elysium. If he has done bad or wicked things, he will go to Tartarus. This world is but a test for the next. I'm sure you're ready. So, wine or bread? Or both?
Both.
She looks at the crew member. Go fetch some provisions for about a week.
Okay, the crew member runs below deck and comes up carrying like a little sort of cloth bundle with bread and one of those little
Okay, good. She was worried she didn't specify. It's not meant to be the captain's provision for a week, but a normal person.
He comes running up and he's like, here you go, and like, holds his bundle out towards you, Tydus. That should last you over until we come and pick him back up. And so like winks at you, Aeleon.
She doesn't laugh, but I do.
John, how far away is the moon?
Well, since you've been like moving closer to it, as you specified to Orion, you're in the same zone now, so you're sort of like within range.
Yeah, we're kind of hanging around, right? We're not getting closer.
Yeah, you sort of stopped maybe about sort of 30 foot away from it.
Oh, 30 foot from the moon? Oh, that far. Okay.
Because Orion, following sort of Theron's instructions, had been like driving the ship straight towards it. It was only when it started like speaking, he like slammed the brakes on basically.
So what I want to do is I want to make a jump for the hatch from the bow of the ship.
Splendid. I think that'll be either a force or a haste roll, depending on how you're approaching it.
Yeah, I was thinking about haste because I want it to be sort of like sporadic, as it suddenly go. Whoop. Okay.
So make your roll. It's difficulty 4.
And yeah, well, as a warrior philosopher, my physique is quite good, so I'm gonna use my last fate point to jump like no one has jumped at a hostile moon before in space.
Okay, so as far as the rest of you guys are like concerned, Theron's like stood on the prow, like debating with this giant like sentient moon. And then he's like, "But another thing, whoop!" And, like, leaps towards like the surface of the moon.
I'm holding a bundle of provisions and looking.
Okay, you sail across the intervening space there, and for a few moments it looks as though you're about to like sail past it. Then you grab hold of this sort of like wheel that's jutting out of this hatch, and sort of grab hold of it and arrest your progress.
Yeah.
So,
what I want to do is
what?
Spin the hatch open, get inside.
Yeah, not a problem. You quickly spin this wheel, the hatch lid like pops open, and you duck inside. The rest of you see Theron grab hold of this like wheel on this hatch that you hadn't noticed previously, but obviously you can now see because it's where Theron is. He spins this wheel, the hatch pops open, and he disappears inside. What are you guys doing?
Aeolian is just standing amazed and
I'm staring askance.
coming to the conclusion that must be why he's the hero of the Republic.
I guess that's what heroes do. They jump.
It's all about their athletics skills.
But otherwise, she'll nudge her Hespian friend towards the lifeboat.
Okay, so you're being nudged towards this like small rowing boat, effectively, that's strapped towards the side of the Trelos Kosmos.
Aeleon, I will not endanger the crew if this is the way they wished for me to serve this quest and your captain. However, I must stress this is a very unwise decision.
The spotlight is still on us, right?
It is, yeah. One of the small advantages of like having Tydus on board seems to be that although obviously Theron's got leapt across and has gone in through this hatch, the main focus still seems to be on him. Tydus.
Yeah, that's what she's hoping. It's okay. We'll get you. Don't worry. I mean,
a couple of the crew are like, yeah, we'll get him.
And as I said, don't be afraid of death. It's really just a transition.
It is not for myself that I am worried for.
Oh, don't worry, be worried for anyone else. For them, death is only just a transition.
Indeed.
Okay, so as you're climbing into this lifeboat,
she's really taking her
Tydus,
time, making sure it's really anchored right, and really taking her time to lower the food down and making sure that he doesn't misstep or anything. So she's really drawing out this process of getting him into the boat. Okay,
no problems. We cut across back to Theron. Theron, as you pop in through this like maintenance hatch effectively on Talos' surface, you climb inside what appears to be a large sort of tunnel effectively. There's a bewildering array of gold and brass gears which clank ominously and seem to line the walls of this place. You can see they're connected by tubes and pipelines that seem to be carrying this boiling hot amber liquid through it, rather like lifeblood through veins. Occasionally you see like hisses of gas escaping from it.
I'm going to continue. Unless there is a dead end, really. I'm looking for the center of this thing.
Okay, you carry on moving through this thing, and it's almost like a maze in here. You move through it for what must be about 15 minutes, although it's difficult to keep track of the time in here. As you're moving through it, you arrive at what appears to be a large sort of circular doorway in front of you made of brass with gold inlay. You can see that in the center of this door appear to be 6 golden figures, sort of like repressed, almost as though they're sort of like in like a fetal position, and they're like inset into the door. You can see they're all wearing sort of Greek style armor, and each of them is holding like a spear clasped across their front. Their heads are lowered, they're wearing helmets with crests on them.
And the door is there like a visible opening mechanism?
You can see that in the center of the door is another one of these wheels, like the one you used to open the inspector.
Yep, so taking stock of these figures, I tentatively lay my hand on the wheel.
Okay, as you lay your hands on the wheel, there is a loud hissing, and these 6 golden figures that drop out of the depression in the doorway they were resting in. They rise to their feet with a clanking and a mechanical hissing. each of them in unison like holds their spears out and sort of points them towards you, all moving in perfect unison.
I address the closest one. I say, "Brother, put down your spear. I'm here to discuss only."
One of the figures says, "Foreign body detected. Commence sterilization."
Okay, I want to shoot them all.
Okay, not a problem. Make your attack roll.
Let's see. I'd go for haste in this, just like, and then.
Yeah, that's fine.
This is A2.
I'll make their defense roll. Okay, so currently you wouldn't be doing any damage to them, but you would gain a boost.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so what would you like to call your boost?
I want to say that my tachyon arrows start ricocheting in on the inside of this thing.
So it's like a ricochet boost.
Yeah, ricochet. Yeah.
That's absolutely fine. So you've got one free invoke of that. Okay, as you say that, they literally like march towards you and like as one, all moving at the same time, so like jabbing these spears at you. So they make an attack roll. I will spend, unsurprisingly, I will spend a fate point for that since they are the mechanical guardians of Talos. And I will do a reroll for that. That's a bit better. They're currently on 3.
Okay, and in my defense is literally the same action that my attack is. I'm backing off quickly and firing off my arrows. So I'm just trying to dance away from the spears.
Yep, no problems. Obviously, you're not dancing fast enough at the moment.
No, apparently not. So I get skewered.
Well, you have the boost, right? You can use that.
Yeah, you could use the free boost to add a +2. That would mean that they'd get a boost.
Yeah,
but they wouldn't do you any damage.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I need the boost for later.
Okay, so I'm going to give them a boost of surrounded, because they're effectively like surrounding you to like limit your movement. They're almost acting like they're the fingers of a single hand rather than like a separate individuals. So they're sort of literally all around you now with their spears pointed at you, sort of jabbing at you, making it very difficult to move. We jump back to you again.
Oh boy. There's machinery around, right? The inner workings.
Yep, there's lots of machinery around. There's pipes, there's gears, there's these tubes carrying this like boiling amber liquid.
I wanna jump on a big cogwheel on like the teeth of the wheel and then be taken up by the wheel. So
okay, so that sounds like a roll to create advantage to me.
Yeah. And I don't know, I guess I'm doing it with focus, I guess, because if I miss, I'm dead. So
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Legit. It's only difficulty 2.
Oh, 3.
Okay, yeah, so you've got your advantage. What would you like to call it?
Far away.
Okay. That's absolutely fine. So for their next turn, obviously they can't attack you because you've been like carried up by this cog that you're riding on. They're going to effectively try and make an overcome roll to cancel out your advantage by sort of jumping onto the cog afterwards and like basically running up it like they're running up an escalator to try and get to you. I'm going to make an roll for them, and I will need to beat your 3 that you got to make the advantage. Okay, I will spend a point against the Guardians of Talos to make it into a 3. So they've not done you any damage, but they've effectively nullified your advantage. So they leap up onto this cog, and they start, as it's moving slowly and you're sort of slowly being carried away from them, they literally run up. You can hear this mechanical clanking as they charge towards you, lifting their spears high for like a sort of finishing blow, effectively. You can almost sort of feel like the hot steam hissing out of their joints as they're running ever closer to you.
Is this reflected? I was just thinking of the guys outside. Is this reflected in any way on the other side of the Talos construction?
The only thing noticeable to the guys outside is that Talos appears to have like fallen silent. Perhaps it's diverting some of its power to deal with you rather than sort of like worrying about them.
Okay.
So for yourself, Tydus, and for Aeleon, you know that Talos has fallen silent. It's not said anything. And you notice that the sort of amber light that had formed this outline of this eye on it appears to be sort of like slowly like pulsing. Like
Okay,
on and off.
she'll reach out and pull him up on the deck again from the lifeboat.
Okay, you put up on the deck from the lifeboat, and oddly you notice that the spotlight doesn't move; it stays fixed on the lifeboat.
That wasn't so bad.
I'm confused, Aeon. What? What is it you are plotting?
You notice that the look of like Tydus's confusion appears to be like echoed on the like face of like the crew and nearest to you, Aeon, who are all sort of like, "Yeah, Ferryman, yeah, let's get him off the boat." And then as you pull him back on, like, what? Well,
Orion, take us close to the moon, where that little hatch.
on all the sails, we move in. At which point the ship starts moving closer towards this hatch. You're within range, so like, if you wanted to, you two could like leap across now. If you're a lot closer, you wouldn't have to make a roll.
Okay.
You notice that there's no response from Trelos. It appears to be like otherwise occupied, although the light on its surface like pulsing slowly.
Where's Theron gone?
Well, he went in that hatch.
You went inside?
Theron?
Oh god, he'd be making a mess. Right, and I'd get out the hammer. Gonna make such a racket in there. Right, I'm gonna go in after him.
I'm sure that's a good idea.
So you sort of leap across the distance and like sail through space and like directly through the hatch, sort of spinning around, holding your hammer close so it doesn't impact on the side of it. And just as your feet, you hear like this voice sort of trailing off with Aeon going, not sure that's a good idea.
Heroes leap first.
Well, she'll stay on the ship because without her, she kind of fears that they will overtake Orion and leave us out here.
Yeah, you and that's a pretty accurate summarization. I mean, you're pretty sure that like Orion's keeping them in check, and you know that you're loyal to the three of you and Jason. You know, Jason's been like pretty much like below deck, like trying to stop the very drunk captain from like swaggering up on deck, and like there was a couple of like unfortunate incidents like just after the business with Phineas where shall we say slightly bizarre orders were given by the inebriated captain, and Theron was like, "Oh, Jason, can you like keep him below deck like until he sobers up?" So Jason's been like below deck, like, "Oh yeah, Captain, it's fine. It's good. Fine, you just stay in bed. Then I'll here have some more wine. Yeah, just stay in bed."
Yeah, those scurries were really big, Captain. Now lay down.
Yeah. No. It's like going, "Oh, what's that booming voice from up on deck?" It's nothing, Captain. You just stay in bed. It's nothing to worry about.
Just hangovers. Don't worry about it. So
Okay.
she'll stay on deck to keep an eye on there will be no mutiny.
That's absolutely fine. So you stay on deck. Tydus, you have entered the Talos. You see, as I said, this bewildering maze of pipes, brass cogs, with this hot sort of amber-like fluid, the lifeblood of Talos flowing through these pipes. You can just about in the distance, you can just about make out above the sound of hissing steam and clanking gears, the sound of like weapons clashing together.
I'll make my way towards the sound of chaos.
Okay, not a problem. You start heading towards the noise of battle. battle. We jump back to Theron. Theron, these golden warriors are rushing towards you, their spears upheld. That you can't see like any face below the sort of the stylized helmets they're wearing. Perhaps they don't have any, you're not sure. Perhaps their face is the helmet, you don't know, but it's quite disconcerting as you stare into these blank helmets with these spears upraised as they charge towards you as one.
And we're on top of one of the gears, right?
Indeed, if you imagine, you know, that sort of scene like Hellboy 2 where they're like fighting on all the cogs and gears and they jump in between them, it's a bit like that. You're sort of racing across this gantry way of interlocking gears, turning at different speeds and intersecting.
Yeah, I'm going to. My ploy is going to be that I'm gonna try and get them to within like stabbing distance with their spears, and I want to get at least like the closest stabber to come in with his spear, and I want to sidestep and just go boop and like drop them.
Take an attack roll.
What approach do you think that would be?
I would think possibly guile. Obviously, you're trying to sort of like mislead them and knock them off their gear.
2.
Okay, I'll make their defense roll. Okay, they're currently beating you by 1, so you sidestep. Indeed, they do stab their spears at the spot you previously occupied. However, as you lean forward and you try and push this one, it's almost like you're trying to push like a solid statue made of like very heavy metal off the edge of this gear, and you're sort of like,
yeah, it's just
and it just doesn't move.
Yeah, it's one of those scenes from the movies where the guy is trying to push down like the jock, and it's just like, and it just doesn't move. And I think we just stare at each other. Well, it doesn't have a face, but I'm staring at its face plates.
It turns to look at you, and you can just about make out 2 like glows where eyes would be on a person sort of deeply set into the recesses of his helmet as it looks down at you. Far below this shifting array of gears, you race into the chamber, Tydus, and as you look up like many feet above you, you can see like high in the sky this almost like this staircase of different gears interlocking and shifting and moving at different speeds. And high up on like the highest gear, you can see these 6 golden figures with spears, all like battling against your heroic friend. In the middle of them all, and they've literally like surrounded him on top of one of these spinning gears. What do you do, Tydus?
Flamboyant Athenians. No respect for the delicate nature of these devices. Right, I'm going to try and climb up to him as best I can.
Okay, not a problem. You start climbing the gears. It'll take you a little while to get to where he is, so I'll clue you in when you can effectively engage in the combat. Okay, so they're going to make an attack against you. So I will make a roll for that. And I'm going to use my free boost of Surrounded to make that a 4.
You said that they acted more as a single entity than 6 different ones.
Indeed.
Yeah. So I would say that because I'm very observant, that I've kind of figured that out, and I can see the attack coming, and now it's just about whether or not I'm fast enough to not be there when it strikes. Okay, I know where they're going to attack, but...
So are you going to make a haste roll?
Yeah, that's what I'm...
Okay, so the difficulty is 4.
2, and that's a 4.
Okay, so you've drawn with them, so you will actually get a boost. So what would you like your boost to be? Would you like another something a bit different?
Let's go with loose gear. I think is a thing that has happened because we've been jumping up and down on this gear.
Yeah, so I'll say the weight of like these sort of like heavy, like mechanical, like guardians, like chasing you around this gear has actually dislodged it and it's starting to like wobble around as it's turning, sort of spinning off its axis.
Yeah.
And as they're sort of like they're thrusting their spears at you, you sort of lean backwards, like deliberately, like shifting it to throw them off balance a little bit. Their spears go wild and miss you.
Yeah. So the spear goes. It was supposed to hit my face, but I lean back and like stumble on the gear, and the spear goes whoop.
Indeed, it just slices off like a few like strands of your hair fall down, but you're otherwise unharmed. Over to you.
I'm going to wade into these guys using my tachyon bow as basically like a stick / club. I want to use it to like poke them, try to like just drop them now.
Okay, that sounds like a force attack to me.
Yeah. Yeah, let's use the +2 from the loose gear. Yeah.
Okay, I'll make the defense roll. Okay, so again, you sort of wade in trying to use your bow as a club, and it does like clang into several of them, but given that it's a bow and it's not specifically really meant to be a melee weapon, it just sort of like rebounds off them and doesn't appear to cause them any great harm. At this point, Tydus, you've just sort of made it onto the edge of this gear that they're on, this huge round gear. You can see that they've obviously, their weight is unbalanced and it's wobbling quite dangerously. Like any sort of like massive impact could just throw it off and cause it to spin off the sort of pintle mount that's on. So as you're stepping onto it, you're like, so obviously you're not exactly a lightweight yourself, but you are now within range of this combat, so you act on this.
I'm going to swing up and try and assist this hero of the Republic in his rather daring attempt to save the crew fighting these things. Do I recognise what these creatures are that he's fighting?
You can make me an intellect roll if you wish.
I should love to do that. Thank you very much. Just bear with me a moment. Is it intellect roll, is it, or is it...
Yeah, intellect, yeah.
3, John.
Okay, you think these things are part of basically some sort of automated defense system. Effectively, if you imagine that your friend Theron and yourself, you're like viruses inside the body of these things. They're like the mechanical antibodies of this creature. They're just like programmed to like seek out any threats that somehow manage to enter it and destroy them. There must be some way of bypassing them because obviously, well, someone must have come in here and like built it. And you know, although it said it was like crafted by the hand of Hephaestus, Hephaestus tends to like outsource a lot of his work, so he would probably wouldn't have built it himself. Yeah, he wouldn't have built it himself directly. He'd have just come up with the plans for it, and then someone else would have built it. So there must be a way that they can identify like people who should be here.
Is there a way for me to figure that out at this moment?
You can't see anything that would indicate what it is at this moment. Obviously, if you have any thoughts yourself, that you could do. It would probably be something visual, you'd think. So maybe some form of like identifying insignia or some sort of like something that would work as passkey effectively. But what that is, you don't know.
Can I use the hammer and tell them to halt? And go back to their...
Okay, you can certainly give it a go.
I don't have any fate points, so I'm just going to use force. I'm just going to like make a short, like kind of clang it off of one of the working things, not too heavily, and just be like, halt in the name of Hephaestus. Go back to your dormant state. One of his own has come.
Okay. At this point, Hal,
Tydus.
Now, since you are the hammer of Hephaestus, and obviously the hammer of Hephaestus falls heavily that you're on a gear that is already been described as dangerously unstable.
Yeah.
If you're obliged to destabilize this gear and perhaps cause it to fall, I would give you a fate point.
Since I don't have any fate points to buy it off, John, I'm going to have to take it, yeah?
Indeed. Grab yourself a fate point out of the pool. So, as you're just like planning your next attack, Theron, you see Tydus like mount the far end of this gear, and he says, "Stop!" and like smashes his hammer down. As he does, the gear like tilts to one side, and it begins to slide off the sort of pintle mounting that it's on. So you guys, if you imagine, you're almost sort of like surfing this like huge gear that's about to drop like many feet down to the ground below. The one advantage of that is effectively this turn, the golden sort of defense mechanism people aren't going to get to attack you because they're not particularly dexterous, and they sort of slide and stagger as this gear starts sliding down. However, that's the upside. On the downside, you two are also on this gear that's about to imminently drop many feet to the ground below. Who would you like to go next, Tydus, since you're effectively in this combat? Obviously, it's the NPCs or Theron.
I'm going to say the Hero of the Republic gets to react first because he knows this is coming. He can sense everything that's going on.
So Tydus is on the gear as well.
Yeah.
For the moment.
You're all on this gear that's sliding off its mounting and about to drop down to the ground below. And
the drop is quite substantial.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking sort of like 3 or 4 stories if you're talking about it in terms of like a building site.
Okay. So what I want to do is rush to Tydus and throw him off the gear onto a pipe so that he doesn't fall.
If you would like to make me a force roll, since obviously you're trying to like use your strength to like throw him. It's only a difficulty 2. Okay, so you grab him and you're about to like throw him off, but unfortunately, like this huge hammer that he's like holding, like so heavy that it's almost like you're trying to throw like 3 people, and you think you could sort of lift him and throw him, but you're not confident you could get him the distance to like get him to safety. So you sort of like stop yourself just as you're about to like grab him. Okay, so there's NPCs next. So as the NPCs, basically they're going to spend their action sort of like getting themselves together and re-establishing their footing so they can. And you can see they split into 2 groups of 3. 3 of them are heading towards Tydus, and 3 of them are heading towards yourself, Theron. However, since we're now on the next round, I'm going to pass over to Theron.
And we are falling? Question mark?
You're not falling yet. You think you've got this round. Basically, you can see the gear's like just sort of worked its way towards the edge. You've got this round, and the gear's going to drop off and start falling next round.
Okay. So let me get this straight, right? So how is the gear attached to the rigging?
Basically, if you imagine there's like a sort of rod coming out, and the gear is around the rod.
Yeah.
As you guys have been sort of like fighting towards the end, and it's just about to drop off this rod and plummet downwards.
Well, I'm going to 3 guys. Shit. Well, I'm just gonna shoot them. Shoot my bow into these antibodies with all haste because I want to shoot them before we fall, so that they will be not functional when I'm unconscious.
I think that's entirely fair, make your roll. let me make a defense roll. You never know.
My luck is magic tonight.
Okay, so you fire your bow, but unfortunately sort of thrown off your balance by the wobbling of this wheel. Your shots go wild. One of them sort of dings the shoulder pad of one of these golden guardians, but it doesn't appear to cause them any undue harm. Okay, so you can pass over to either the NPCs or to Tydus. What would you like to do?
Let's go with the NPCs.
Okay, so the NPC, so I'm going to make a roll for the group attacking you, Theron. They're on a 4, so if you want to make a defense roll.
I'm going to go with the fact that I'm just wildly firing at them real fast. So let's go with haste. They're
Okay.
probably, because they didn't get hit, so they're probably dodging. That's a 2.
Okay, you take 2 levels of stress. Your shots do cause like one of these things to like pull its spear back and like step back a bit to dodge out the way of the shots. The other 2 like jab their spears into you, causing these shallow cuts across your torso. Okay, so I'm going to roll for the 3 attacking you, Tydus. I have a mighty score of 1 at the moment, so if you'd like to make a defense roll, Tydus.
Sure. I'm going to use focus. I'm trying to basically hop between the different cogs and stuff at the moment, trying to avoid getting hit.
Okay, go for it.
Not my greatest strengths, but at the moment I'm trying not to cause too much undue damage. I just about do it.
Okay, so as these golden antibodies thrust their spears in your direction, you leap off the dangerously tottering gear you're onto an adjoining cog, avoiding any damage. Now, since the NPCs have had their go and you're the only one remaining in this round, it passes over to you.
So what I'm going to do is I leap across. One of these things is effectively going to... Because I imagine it's like a cylindrical chamber we're in. So yeah, as I'm sort of positioning myself, so as they come across, I'm trying to get in a position when they hop. I'm just going to belt them with the hammer, since they've not listened to me. I give them fair warning.
Okay, that's
It's
fine.
going to
That
be a
sounds like
force
fourth
straight to
attack
the face,
for me.
John. Take it. Don't take it.
Okay, that's
It's really
a
hard
defense
to
roll.
like strike down that which you are related to.
Currently, you wouldn't be doing them any damage, but you would get a boost. Are you sticking with that roll?
Yes, so I do not wish to use fate points at this point.
Okay, so what would you call your boost?
Distracting cancer, I guess, because Talos does not want me in here.
Okay, that's fine. So there's a free invoke of that boost. Now, obviously, you can use that, or well, basically, you or any of your allies can use that, as long as it's appropriate. Okay, so since we're going on to the next round, who would you like to go first in the next
I'm going to
round?
pass it to the hero of the Republic.
Okay, so to you, Theron.
These guys are in my face, I presume, with the spears.
Yeah, pretty much. They're all up in your Athenian grip.
Yeah. I would like, because I have no fate points, I would like to propose a compel.
Go
I
ahead, what do you
am proposing that the heroism that Theron sort of reluctantly accepts kicks in, and he just bowls into these guys and tries to like grab them and toss himself down and take these guys with him.
Okay, well, as a counterproposal, what I suggest is, because the cog is like literally just about to start falling, so I suggest that maybe you like barrel into them and you just like grab hold of them and like hold them on the cog. As it, like,
Yeah, that's
off.
good as well.
You can already see like 3 of them have jumped onto this other gear that's got Tydus on, but at least you'll be like dragging 3 of them down.
So sort of like,
so yeah, you can.
Yeah, jump on them.
I'm happy with that.
Yep.
Pal. So grab yourself a fate point. So Tydus, as you're watching, you see this cog finally reach the end of the sort of cylinder that it's on. There's that as it tilts sideways and starts to fall down to the ground many feet below. You watch as these 3 like golden sort of antibodies obviously get ready to jump off. Then at the last minute, grab hold of the 3 of them and like basically like barrel them under the ground as he like falls onto this cog, and you watch as it starts to like fall down with your friend and these 3 golden statues on it. So Theron, who would you like to pass it over to next, NPCs or Tydus?
Tydus, I guess, because he's in slow motion watching the cog go down.
Indeed, you are, Tydus. You can see this cog falling with your friend and 3 of these golden figures on it. There's 3 of the golden figures attacking you. You know that obviously you're potentially, if you go to try and help Theron, you're going to give these things an opening to like attack you without you being able to really defend yourself. But if you don't, is this the end for heroic Theron, the hero of the Republic?
I can't let this majestic
Tydus?
thing die on my watch. Does Theron's bow have like a line, or is it just like a? How does it actually look?
It's probably like mother of pearl, and then orichalcum, of course, because we have the copper from heaven.
Of course.
And the string probably appears whenever like he's drawing, because the arrows don't exist either. It's just the bow itself, and the string appears whenever he's plucking it.
So when you've dived down, have you holstered the bow?
I think it's probably in one of my hands. I'm just like, oh, and a beer hugging these guys.
So basically what I will do is I'll hook the hammer in one of the cogs, sort of lean out to grab the bow as he goes down, try and stop his ascent.
Okay, now that sounds like it's going to be a haste roll to me, because obviously you're trying to grab him quickly before he falls out of range.
Yeah, I was going to go with focus, because I'm supposed to get attacked, but fair enough. I'll go haste.
Haste difficulty 2.
Is that boost still there?
You still have the boost, yeah.
I'm going to use the boost. I'm going to need it, John.
Well, make your roll first to see if you do need it. You can use it after. So there you go. You don't need to use it. The difficulty was only 2. So
if I use it, do I get an effect?
Yeah, I think if you use the boost, I'll say that not only can you swing out and sort of like hook hold of Theron, but I'll say effectively, although you'll still be like hanging below the cog that you were on, you can like swing Theron up onto the cog.
Yes, I wanted to basically get Theron into an advantageous position, so we're like flanking these are the remaining 3.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. So if you use the boost, so what happens is Tydus hooks his hammer onto the cog that he's on, swings out, basically like grabs hold of you with like his legs sort of around your waist, Theron, and swings across, like sort of flipping you up onto the cog that he was on. He's still sort of like hanging below it by
He's
this
eating
hammer.
an apple while he's flying through the air, as obviously.
Indeed, you swing up, sort of like munching on your apple as you land on this cog, sort of on one knee, hero pose style. Obviously, you can see there's like another 3 of these golden figures in front of you. But as you glance down past the sort of swinging figure of Tydus, you see this cog fall down towards the ground with 3 of these golden figures on it. It gets smaller and smaller until you can barely see it. Then there's this loud that like reverberates throughout the chamber as it hits the ground, and you see like dust and sparks like thrown up by the impact. You feel a judder run through all the other gears that you're on as it impacts with the ground. But for the moment, you're safe, Theron. Obviously, you're still swinging below this gear, Tydus.
Yeah. I said.
And now I believe there's only the NPCs left to act this turn. Although if you want to get a heroic whip in, feel free.
I was just going to say to Theron, the work of the divine is exact, and with purpose. Disturbing the innards of Talus will likely not go well for him. We should leave here promptly.
And then I
Okay.
get stabbed.
The camera zooms out from the inside of Talos briefly, back on board the Trelos Kosmos. As you're stood there, Aeleon, and you're sort of watching, you see as the light on Talos' surface dims, and you notice like small cracks start to form on the exterior of its surface.
Okay, that can't be good. And the crew is still somewhat under control.
You notice that they seem to be like more under control now that they've seen that, like what you're doing seems to be affecting this thing. Because previously they were like, "Oh, there's no chance we can like do anything about this." Also, the fact that like Tydus is no longer on board is like
That
helping.
always helps. Okay, can she? I mean, we have rope on board, right? This is ship. Would we also
Yeah, of
have
course you do.
like nets?
Oh yeah, most
Could she
definitely.
like attach some of that to a grappling hook and kind of make a rope bridge between the hatch and the ship? So when they get out, they can quickly board.
Yeah, like adapted weaponry that Tide tinkered with earlier. You fasten this sort of like net, like say, making like a sort of crude rope ladder to a grappling hook, and you fire it. It hooks onto the wheel on the outside of the hatch, and you can see this thin sort of lifeline of rope running from the ship down to this entry hatch.
Great. And
Okay.
you hope they come out before everything
Okay.
goes bad.
We cut back to inside as these three golden figures are going to attack you, Theron. Would you like to make a defense roll as they thrust their spears at you?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'm just trying to dance away once again.
Okay.
No,
Okay, are you sticking with that? You do have a fate point.
I do, yeah. But I really wanted to save it. Yeah, I'm sticking with that.
Okay, you take one stress as you dance away from these thrusting spears. One of them catches you in the side, shallowly, like scoring a mark along your flesh. Okay, now since that's effectively the end of that combat round, I'm going to pass over to Tydus next. You can swing up onto this cog as a free action, that's fine.
I'm going to do so.
That won't take your action. Okay, what do you want to do for your actual action?
So there's 3 of them left.
Yep. You watch as one of them jabs out with its spear, and you see a shallow line of red appear on Theron's midriff.
We can't have that now.
A few drops of blood fall onto the cog.
Considering the words of the prophet, the circle was his weak point. Have they found this? The circles everywhere. As he comes in and just kind of like bats the thing in the center. What are the golden creatures? I mean, not
Yeah, no problems. Make a force roll.
4 straight to the abdomen.
It's all right. I didn't think you were reckless enough to go. There's only one way of dealing with this, but smash the cog you're on.
It's a 2 jet.
Okay, I'll make their defense roll. Okay, would you like how you dramatically and stylishly take out all 3 of these creatures?
All 3? Oh, nice. Right,
Indeed.
so what happens is one of them comes at me with the spear and I bat it aside with my free hand. It gets caught in one of the cogs and it sort of starts lifting it up. As it goes past, as it goes up, I get close to another one. I just sort of smash its head clean in 2 with the hammer. And then as the spear gets up, I grab the spear and just sort of lift off of the ground and sort of bat the other one into an arrow that Theron's obviously just released at that very moment.
Indeed. You watch in astonishment, Theron, as this blur of motion that Tydus has become, like, dispatches these 3 golden creatures, even like as he sort of backhands one like directly into the top of one of your tachyon arrows. The arrow sort of like penetrating its helmet. You see sparks and smoke echo out from it. It sort of pitches forward, falls over the edge of the cog, and spins end over end as it vanishes down below. As you're sort of like breathing a sigh of relief, you can hear like a sort of rumbling around you, and as you look around, you can see like other cogs have like started to fall off their mountings and are sort of like dropping to the ground. We're effectively no longer in combat rounds.
I'm probably standing there for a while, just thinking, "Wow, that happened."
Did. That was brave, but stupid. But still noble.
The whole place around you is shaking now. Tydus, it's almost like the interior of Trelos is like shaking itself to pieces as you watch cogs and springs. Hisses of steam come out of these huge pipelines, burning hot amber liquid sprays out of them. It's like cracks start appearing everywhere.
I do a quick professional like overview of the situation. Yeah, I ain't gonna be able to fix this. We have to get out of here, Theron.
Aeolian will ready draw a blade from one of the crew, so she's ready to cut the rope if it becomes necessary.
Not a problem.
Are you sure there's no person inside here? That is what I had figured. And I thought maybe we would meet him or her here, but...
Would I know that information, John? Is there an actual individual inside here?
You wouldn't know for sure, but you know it's certainly a possibility. Obviously, you know that machines that can think for themselves are sort of inherently like Titan technology, which is forbidden, and the gods help to overthrow. In fact, part of the reason you're in so much hot water with Hephaestus is because you built a machine that could think for itself. So it's not entirely likely Hephaestus would do so himself.
Unless...
Unless...
Dun, dun, dun.
It's possible, Theron, but we may die finding those answers. Do you feel like dying twice today?
Well, Elon probably has a word or two for you about dying, if you're interested. Me? I care not. Death is not frightening once you have spent your entire life thinking of the way that existence works. And I start going into...
Theron, we do not have the time.
Indeed, this rain of cogs and debris is like hastening. These cracks are getting bigger that are spreading across the wall of this chamber.
Let's make our escape. Even if...
Is there... Do they have an escape boat or capsule in this? Do you know? Can we launch it? Can we...
Again, John, would I know? This...
Again, it's possible. You're not exactly privy to like the blueprints of this thing, given your current sort of status.
It's possible, Theron, but we don't have a lot of time to search, and the layout of this place is becoming unstable. There's not necessarily we can get to one in time.
One thing you do know, though, Tydus, is, as I've described previously, there's all these tubes about this hot sort of like amber boiling liquid moving through it that are effectively it's functioning as like the lifeblood of like Trelos. You know that if there were to be like a sort of a person as like the CPU of this thing, that if you followed those pipes, effectively they'd all eventually sort of originate and sort of center off at this person. But as you said, do you have the time to follow them to the center of this thing while
I will relay this
falling to pieces?
in brief to Theron. If you wish to save my erstwhile cousin, I will help you, but he will not thank me for it. That is for sure. He sees me as complicated. but I stand ready to help the hero of the Republic.
But you're certain that you cannot, at this moment, tell me where this cousin of yours is?
If you follow the pipes, we could potentially find him, but I do not know the size of this location, not off by heart. I did not build it myself. If I had, I could, but I can see in the construction and the way that it is made, the workings of my master, but it's not innate to me, unfortunately.
How is the moon looking from the outside, John?
The cracks in it are now like huge, and like bits of it have started to like break apart and like fall off it. It's basically it's almost like if you imagine like the outer shell of like a boiled egg, and someone's just like whacked it with a big spoon, and all the cracks like bits of the shell are like breaking off.
Okay, she's getting nervous now. She will use her every planet will reach his dead stunt to summon a group of ghosts.
Okay.
Angry spirits from beyond. And she will send them into the hatch with the instructions of finding these two and get them out. And if they're not willing to come willingly, that they should possess them and lead them out.
Okay. So you watch as these semi-translucent, these gauzy sort of spectral figures wearing armor appear in front of you as you give them their orders, and then it's almost as though they sort of turn into these streams of spectral energy that zip towards this hatch like flowing sheets and disappear into this hatch. Okay, the two of you, what are you doing? The whole place is shaking itself apart. You notice like through one of the larger cracks in the ceiling, you can actually now see like space through it.
Very well then, Tydus. It is your blood, so you can make the call. If you wish to save your kin, I will be here until, well, this place falls apart, and we both cease to exist. But to be honest, I think I would prefer not to. I say as I dodge a gear that comes down.
I do not think he would let us save him if we tried. He has fulfilled his purpose. We should leave this place. I'll honor his memory by completing this task.
As Tydus is saying this, looking over his shoulder, Theron, you notice like a sort of displacement in the air. Then like slowly this like group of like spectral figures wearing Athenian armor, you can see through them, sort of hazily manifest behind him, and the leader of them sort of gestures at you. You can see his sort of cadaverous like mouth moving, although you can't hear what he's saying.
I go, Tydus, can you see these?
Yeah, if you look around Tydus, you can see these spectral like legionary beckoning to you. One of them appears to be trying to talk to you, but you can't hear what he's saying. But it's unmistakable that he's gesturing for you
Are we in the void?
To follow them.
No, these are not void horrors. These are wearing Athenian uniforms. We must follow this.
Theron, are you being... Theron, I know that you're recognizing something, but is this seriously the time?
As Tydus is saying that, and he appears to not be keen to follow them, one of these spectral figures literally like steps into Tydus. Okay, at this point, Tydus, can you please make me an intellect roll? It's a defense roll.
Okay. Yep. Obviously, I've got some kind of antivirus software, John.
Yeah, apparently.
Okay, the spirit enters you, and you can feel it's effectively trying to possess you and sort of like take control of your body. And you think if you were a mere mortal, it would no doubt have done so, and you would now be like a prisoner inside your own body. However, you're able to like steel yourself against it because you are like divinely empowered. And as you watch Theron, you see sort of this look of like concentration across Tydus's face. It's almost as though he sort of like forces this thing and expels it out of his body. And you see this translucent figure stagger back out of him.
Tydus, we must go. If these things were here to torment us, they would do so.
I mean, apart from the one that just tried to possess me. I say as like I bat away like a little half cog that's on fire flying by.
As he says this, another one of the figures, he bats this cog out of the way. Another one of these translucent figures literally runs up and like dives into your chest, Theron. Can you please make me an intellect roll?
Do I have to? Because I kind of
no.
I agree with him. I agree with the ghost. So
you don't have to. As this spirit sort of enters your body, you can feel it sort of like it. You can almost sort of feel its thoughts. You don't get like a language, but you get the idea that it's trying to possess your body to like get you the hell out of here, like as clear as you can. Then when you're sort of like, well, yeah, that was sort of my plan anyway. The spirit just like voluntarily just sort of like steps out of your body again, because it's like, oh, job done.
Yeah.
It just like leaves. It's like, I don't need to possess you. You can see the spirits have started to like cluster around Tydus. They appear to be like satisfied that like you're going to leave anyway.
Tydus, we need to go.
That's what I've been saying.
Good.
Let's get out of here.
Let's do that.
These spectres like beckon for you to follow, and they begin like, leaping down these cogs back towards the maintenance hatch.
I'm gonna go as much haste as I can manage, John.
Okay, not a problem. Now, you guys, you're gonna have haste rolls to get out of here undamaged. They're only difficulty 2, so I'm gonna ask, can both of you all please your first?
I have to.
Okay, so Theron, you're fine at the minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're fine as well. Okay, can you both make your second roll? You both run down these cogs, following these spectres, like mechanics falling all around you, machinery clanging next to you. Okay, as you're falling, one of these cogs sort of grazes your arm, causing you 1 stress, Tydus.
No.
Okay, can you both make your last rolls, please? Okay, Theron, you duck as a stream of this boiling amber liquid just like hisses over your head. You jump over the same stream of liquid, Tydus, and you both run down the corridor towards the hatch. You can see it just in front of you. The spectres all stream out through this hatch, and as you both burst out of it, almost in like slow motion, with Trelos like exploding and cogs flying everywhere behind you, you look up and you can see this almost like a lifeline, a literal lifeline, is this thin rope ladder attached to a grappling hook stretching from the hatch back up to the prow of the Trelos Kosmos, where at the other end of it, on board the deck of the ship, with Orion just behind her. You hear Orion shout, "Quickly! The whole thing's breaking apart!" And as you look sort of back over your shoulder, you can indeed see the outer surface of Trelos just falling to pieces as though it's like breaking apart from the inside. What do you two do? There's only space for you to go through the hatch one at a time to get to this rope ladder.
Let's have a hero of. Please, Theron, after you.
We both die.
I love the fact that you going like, "Please, Theron, after you," and he's like, "Peace."
Peace.
So long, sucker, and close the door. No, yeah, I think we literally have a hero off at the door with the explosions behind us.
Yes.
Okay, you both.
No, you go. You have.
No, you go. You're the hero of the Republic. The men respect you. Even the captain likes you.
Please make a focus roll, difficulty 2. You sort of stood as this Okay, more pipes, cogs explode behind you. He's literally going to.
I'm gonna put the joiner card. If you don't go first, they're gonna think this is small. If you go up there, today, you've done this for the people. If I go up there, they think just tell us.
Running to the escape hatch with like bits of ladder. Then for some reason, like they just stop and they're like having an argument while this thing's like falling to pieces around. Ryan looks down at you and he's
get it aboard now.
Okay, so with Tydus's rather compelling arguments, because I understand the value of good PR. It appears I made out the.
You've got to slide down the sort of gangway, like.
I arms and then surf down on the no. No, I like first out the dash in space.
just roll kind of still in.
Oh yeah, I am still in there. Oh no.
Okay. Are you sticking that roll? The difficulty was 2 previously.
No, I'm gonna use a fair point. I'm gonna use the hammer. So what happens is like with the hat, I sort of swing myself out in time as this burst of flame just goes out after me, and I swing back.
Swing out, like
Precious
face. Basically burning like half of the road thing, and you grab hold of like the last rung, now hanging like free in space. Telos breaking through seconds that they did on the front of it. A direction appears. A very old, like muscular man with a and he's standing there like he's down in front of him. Easy forward and look. Points his finger towards you, Tydus. You did this, Tydus. I know warrior of worlds. The mason collapses down and this projection flickers and disappears. The blow feeds and lots of tails.
I'm guessing Thai crew heard that. Yeah.
All two like stood at the finish watching a moon break.
I just sort of looked underneath there just for a second because he obviously was there. And I just banged my head and just sort of started dusting myself off.
Goes over to him, kind of pokes him with the sword and just to poke him with it.
Am I going back in the light?
What is wrong with you?
How
Well,
right now?
Phil has also said something like that. You bring great darkness into the world. What have you done?
It's complicated. It's personal. It's family business.
As you're having this, you hear a female voice behind you say, "Where am I?" As you look round, you see the witch. She's looking a bit disorientated and surprised. And then you see her mouth fall open and she like looks at you and sees like tails breaking up.
We just destroyed the moon.
Snow moon.
As she where am I? What's happened? Tail, the sound of its destruction echoing out around you. Thank you.
Ooh. As always, it was most excellent.
Yarp.
So, let's do bones.
Pissed off the crew.
Check.
I annoyed Aeon. They look great.
Destroyed a moon.
Accidentally may have destroyed a moon, maybe. Got donut to the entire crew. It's been a busy day for me.
At least you got a cool title.
Yeah, but that's not really something I can put on my TV, is it?
I don't know, because
Well, it's an asset if there ever was.
Relevant experience, destroyer of worlds.
Yeah.
Galactus.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, you always get work at the Titans, right?
Gotta work at the tax office.
Me like customer service job. Emo.
Okay, so that was a so you can choose ratings of any of your two approaches. You can just refresh is one. You can refresh to choose a new stunt.
Can you have bus? Because I've. Oh.
Can you get a new aspect?
Well, if you've got aspect, whatever.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Because the
Oh,
base
cool.
straight away, you play the character for a bit. So,
Oh.
let's say he can get 5
Well,
stars.
after because that's like
You've only got 4 stars.
I have 3 aspects.
The through the connection to the Aeetes.
I was considering taking Captain Oh, my Captain. Where are thou?
He's below the deck, drunk.
Well, his body is there.
His spirit.
Where is he? Okay, so yeah. Take additional ones where you can all take one of the benefits proposed.
I was just
Obviously,
checking.
you have to think about it between now and I would also suggest below refresh that you move fate points from the pool to like take your refresh.
Someone grabbed the one I was going for. Little off there.
On the way we're watching the screen, it was just like someone grabbed the item and virtual tabletop.
I love the idea of him being a whole moon. I thought that was super cool.
Because it's your space in the Argonauts. It's just a big like made out of like
Yeah, the wrong statue or something, right?
open, like blood flowed out through it, and he's
Oh,
logical life. Get inside this thing and sort of take it. Okay, so now end of the session, guys. And it before the next session. end the broadcast.
Mm-hmm.